Good evening, and a warm welcome to another edition of the Smuggo and Brooksy show. It's Monday night, it's 8:30, and we're going to be doing an end of season review today, looking at the 2024-2025 season, how it all fared up, and how we think it's going to go next season. But before that, and before I introduce my guests, I just want to do a kind of tribute to one of my mates. One of obviously John's mates, and obviously a person that's very close to a lot of people within the fan base of the club. He's a true gooner, and he's our mate Gary. Obviously, still I want to pay tribute to someone incredibly special. Gary wasn't just an Arsenal fan; he was Arsenal. He lived and breathed the club through every high and low, every triumph and heartbreak, home or away, rain or shine. Gary was there, singing, cheering, supporting with his whole heart. We all knew that if there was a game, Gary would be going. Didn't matter if it was midweek, cup tie, up north, or a big derby game, he made the journey. And in doing so, he brought others closer to the game and each other. But Gary wasn't just passionate about football, he was passionate about people. He had time for everyone. A kind word, a shared laugh, a story to tell. He had a way of making you feel like you felt belonged. He brought the spirit of football alive. Not just the 90 minutes on the pitch, but friendships and memories made off it. His passing has not left a hole not only in our hearts, but in that Arsenal family as a whole. We've lost a friend, a brother, and a man who showed us what it truly means to support your club with unwavering loyalty. Gary's legacy will live on. Every time we chant, every time we celebrate, every time we step into the stands and look around at the sea of red, white, we will feel them and we will feel him, because once a Gooner, always a Gooner. Rest easy, Gary. This one's for you, mate. See you soon.
Oh, bloody hell. God bless you, Gary. You're a lovely, lovely man. Thoughts with your lovely family and everyone that knew him. It's a very, very sad day. But he would have wanted us to carry on. Liam, that was beautiful, mate. Hello to everybody that's joining us. We have a very sexy man with a lovely beard. Hello, Carl. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thank you, mate. Not bad. Yeah, sorry to hear obviously about your friend.
Yeah, no,
Sending
it's
regards to
very
his family
sad.
as well. So
Cancer's
yeah,
an absolute cunt,
yeah.
let's be honest. It's just, yeah, it's very sad. Yeah, it's very sad. But good to see you. Thank you very much. And we have a real treat tonight. We have one of America's finest, a man by the name of Ryan. How you doing, my friend?
America's finest. I like that. Might use that in the next few shows I do. I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm very excited to talk about this season because it's been an interesting one, and I think it's interesting because you have supporters on both sides of the fence and even some in the middle. So it's going to be interesting to see what you guys think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we'll be discussing all things. Obviously, the season that could have been, and obviously, well, hopefully, an exciting summer. Although there's already a few moanings because Man United are cracking on, and well, no one else is at the moment. But obviously, we'll discuss that later on. And Ryan, very good to see you. Thank you for coming on again.
Good to see you as well, and thanks for having me on as well. And obviously, condolences to obviously yourselves and Gary's family and all that.
Thank you very much. It's very kind.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Liam, how you doing, my friend?
Oh yeah, I'm okay. Obviously, thanks for taking over there, John.
Oh, bless you. No, it's shit, isn't it? That was a lovely tribute, mate.
Just nice. To say, obviously, when I spoke to John earlier on, obviously we were thinking about cancelling the show, but he would have wanted that. He wouldn't want us to do that. He'd want us to discuss about Arsenal, be passionate about Arsenal, and look forward, mate. That's always what he was. He was very passionate and he always looked forward. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So this one is definitely going to be a tribute to Gary, but we're going to discuss the 2024-2025 season. What I'm going to do first and foremost is obviously look back to the transfer window of the summer. We looked at it with a lot of hope, didn't we? We looked at it with a lot of optimism. If I'm being obviously honest, I think we felt that at the time we needed a left winger. We probably needed another striker. But if we're being frankly honest, we got neither. And for me, it was a bit of it was a very disappointing summer in terms of how it ended up. And obviously, I think we can all agree that probably our transfer deadline day kind of summed up our season in the end. That all that hope kind of didn't materialise to what we thought it might do. I'm going to go over to you first, Ryan. Obviously, you're doing your debut on the Smuggo and Brooksy show today. What in terms of the summer? What was you looking for? What was you expecting, and was you disappointed at what we delivered?
So for me, it was a very interesting window because I've been known around the Arsenal fandom. I love the kids. I'm a big supporter of Reece Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe. So it was interesting to see how we would transition from them or to, kind of put them in the 11, let them shine, see what they could do. And we obviously sold two players just mentioned, in Reece Nelson and Emile Smith-Rowe. And whereas Emile Smith-Rowe, I think, he deserves first team football, and I think Fulham was a great spot for him. And I don't know if to be fair, I think he probably would have been in our plans given our injury record this season, which I'm sure we'll bring up a multitude of times. Reece Nelson was an interesting one because, we took him out on loan to Fulham, and we brought in everyone's favorite Arsenal player and might be player of the season, Raheem Sterling. I'm just kidding. At first I understood the arrangement. I understood getting in Sterling, someone who's been there, done that, won trophies, and kind of shipping Nelson out, have him get some playing time, even though I probably don't see him in the 11 in Arsenal probably ever. But obviously that backfired. And I was looking for a striker, obviously, like everybody else, and that didn't happen. I liked Calafiori signing. The Neto thing, I didn't understand because I know Arteta is huge on not really rotating, especially goalkeepers. So even if we needed one, I would have loved Tommy Sefer to get minutes. I know Karl Hein, we set him out on loan. I'm a big Karl Hein guy. So the Neto thing didn't really make sense. But the Mourinho thing, I was hesitant about because I've seen him play for the Spanish national team as someone who, funny enough, I support the German national team, a family in Germany, so big into German national football. And
that's worked out quite well for you then.
Yeah. So, and Marino, kind of broke my heart during the Euros. So it was like, okay, cool, we're getting this guy in. I didn't know if he was going to really pick up to speed with the Premier League, and to be honest, I don't really think he did. But he came in clutch for us by the end of the season, and he definitely was a big piece in us. So let's be honest, in my opinion, and then we'll definitely talk about it. I definitely think we overachieved given the circumstances that we are going to talk about more in the show. So I don't want to say I was happy with it, but with the players we were scouting and the players that we kind of brought in, it definitely got me excited. But again, something we'll talk about later. This summer, striker or bust. I think we can all agree. So that's definitely something that needed to be assessed, and it wasn't, but hopefully it will be assessed this summer.
Just going over to you, Cole. Obviously, we went into the window, as we said, looking at these certain positions. I know, obviously, for you, left wing was a key position and one that you would love to see an upgrade with. How do you feel in terms of the Raheem Sterling signing? Was that a surprise at the time? I guess it was a surprise at the time, but given it was the back end of the window, there really weren't much else to scope with, was there?
It was a surprise when he came out and said that we were obviously looking to get him on loan. It could have made sense. I think a lot of his form at Man City, he pinned down to kind of how Arteta worked with him. So I think from that point of view, us fans were quite excited to see that Raheem Sterling, that was at City, and even in his early days at Chelsea, he was a decent player. I remember the game. I think we played him at home last year. He had a good game, but he just completely flopped. He just complete Bambi on ice. He couldn't even run with the ball without falling over. So yeah, it's a shame that I think it was a little bit of a panic buy for us to get some cover, because obviously we've lost Smith Rowe. And we go over to Fulham, and we were kind of left short. Because I expect one year to kind of had the season he's. So yeah, I mean, it was attacking wise, it was a very, very poor window. But we did get some good players out of it in terms of like Calafiori. I know he got injury hit season, but I think next year, if he can keep fit, you saw him in the last couple of games of the season what he can offer. And even in the games he did play. So overall, it wasn't the greatest of windows, and I think it kind of ultimately cost us in the end.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Just gonna, before I go to you, Brooksy, just gonna say some good evening. So good evening to Jonesy. How you doing, mate? Good to see you on. Good evening to Gary. How you doing, mate? Hello. Obviously we know Scotty's in here. Good evening to you, mate. Good evening to Catherine. She's in the house. Good evening to Pete. And apologies to Andy. He was due to come on. But unfortunately, I don't know what's happened with the link. But he's obviously just going to watch. He said to me he's just going to watch the show now. So good evening, mate. And good evening to Rosie as well. Good to see you on. And just evening, ladies. Hope you're well. That's a nice Liverpool hoodie you got on there, Rob. There's nothing Liverpool about this hoodie, I may like to add. God, fishing for bites already, isn't she? But yeah, just gonna go to you, John. With the summer. And obviously not getting kind of what we wanted. We did kick into the season pretty well, didn't we? Like we got a win on our first game of the season against Wolves at home. And then we went away to Aston Villa and got 3 points, which was a tough fought game. We obviously then went to Tottenham and North London rivals and won there 1-0, a Gabriel header. So actually our start of the season was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, win your first 3 games. I think, what was it? Did we beat Wolves 2-0?
Was it 2-0? 2-0, I think.
2-0.
Yeah, so we kept 3 clean sheets in the first 3 games.
2-0, I think. Well, that first game of the season.
Yeah, I was there, but I can't remember. Such a long time ago. But yeah, so 3 clean sheets in the first 3 games. You already thinking the league title. Let's not muck about. We're all hoping we're going to win the league, and we got off to a great start. And beating Villa away, everyone was saying how good they were going to be, how tough it was going to be. The piece of the shit down the road, you never know. But obviously, beat them and all. So yeah, you were confident, and then the Referees Association got involved, and they went a bit downhill.
And we'll go into the Referee Association. I'm going to go over to Ryan.
Ryan.
You can kick off with this one. Our fourth game there was a home game against Brighton, which for me was the start of the turn in terms of kind of refereeing decisions, wasn't it? Obviously, we was 1-0 up against Brighton. I felt we had a really, really comfortable, good first half. It was the story of the season with Arsenal, wasn't it, as well? Taking away the refereeing decision, we'd go 1-0 up in the game, but we wouldn't have the firepower to kick on. And in a game we dominated for the first 45 minutes, we should have had that game out of sight. Declan Rice gets sent off for a second bookable, which, let's be honest, the ball was rolling when it was kicked. He then tapped it away and then got a red card.
The ball was literally, I always watch that back, the ball was literally moving as he goes to tap it. It wasn't like standing still. But yeah, never, like Brooksy has said, never seen it again. In terms of that particular...
Are you sure? I think it was seen again.
No, as in particular a ball moving against... kicking it. And
that was a following week.
You're delaying the restart. Obviously, it was done the game in different ways with Arsenal. It was over Arsenal. No,
exactly. That's my point.
Again, this really pisses me off with Howard Webb, and because he runs the show. For the last couple of seasons, they bring a rule in, they make a big deal of it. Like was it the season before last, where the Community Shield, and it's a big deal going into that of discipline. We're going to If you come up to us and you're not the captain and you're mouthing off, you're getting booked, and the same with the managers, and because of Arteta from the previous season and all that crap. 4 games in, it'll die a death. What happened 4 games in, died a death. Yet again this season, don't even mention this particular rule. There's other rules as well. And they get phased out because they're getting backlash either which way because it's not being consistent. They phase instead of just addressing it and being consistent with the rule that they put in place by the letter of the law. Because that what irks me with the response from the media and other fan base by the letter of the law, but when the letter of the law applied to everyone else, it was like, don't do it again. I think was it that match day weekend, or was it the Man City match day weekend where Slobosly Anfield booted the ball 40 yards across the face of goal just because the free kick was given away against him? No yellow card. And it happened numerous times. I got the Saliba situation as well. From the centre circle, denying a goal scoring opportunity. And yeah, again, the very next day,
Liverpool,
same
Chelsea,
position, yellow card, not even looked at. Howard Webb in our game that previous and the Bournemouth game in the stand, mic'd up and all that. Don't see that ever again.
And he hasn't been seen at another game since.
No, exactly. It's an absolute farce. But hey, if Arsenal fans complain about this and bring this sort of stuff up, we're being bitter. No, it was just being factual. Like, what the hell is going on? Match day 1, we saw our own player being choked to the floor, forced to be choked to the floor in Kai Havertz, not even looked at.
And Jesus as well, he got.
And Jesus at the end of the game.
Poked him up the bum, then he had this.
He basically got assaulted. He reacted to it. He got booked for it because he reacted.
He probably enjoyed that.
It's like you cannot make this BS up, and I'm sick of it. And I've said it throughout the season. Howard needs to, like you say, Leon, Howard needs to piss off. There's no coming back from this of Howard. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. The only good news for next season is that the mic'd up show has been scrapped apparently, from what I'm hearing. So that's one positive. No Mark Owen on his knees, sucking off Howard Webb every 4 weeks.
That show hasn't been on for ages.
But I'm just, and again, ref watch in the UK has been scrapped. But I'm happy with that because the whole point of ref watch was meant to give us a perspective from the referee's perspective. But Dermot Gallagher doesn't do that, and it's like they pick and choose when they want to give the perspective. And if you ask an extra 3 a question and they're on the payroll still of Howard Webb, they don't give the perspective. They just go by, well, this is what we've been told the night before from Howard, and we're going to go with it. And it's so frustrating. And yet, when it happens to everyone else, I remember sitting here on a watch, I think it was in January or February. We've got Chris in here, Liverpool fan, going in the chat, why are you kicking off after we beat Tottenham? That was it. After we beat Tottenham because of one of our, what was it, a corner that led to the. Yeah, we got a corner. It wasn't technically a corner. Oh, why are you not complaining? Well, sorry, where's you backing us up when it was going against us? I'm sick of this. Oh, when it suits, we'll speak up. When it's Arsenal, we're going to double down and bash you over the head with it. And the referee, referees have basically, no matter how good Liverpool have been this season, the referees decided early on, and the David Coote situation added to it as well, that Liverpool would win the title this year. They weren't going to have a challenge really. They didn't get a challenge. Let's be honest. Yet again, they win a title. They don't get challenged for it. Man City fall off, and then Arsenal we fell off to an extent because of injuries and this, that, and the other. But they played a part in it. But no one will want to, outside of a fan base, or certain people in our own fan base, won't want to admit to that because it doesn't suit their narrative. But when it happens to them, they're going to want us to back them up. Well, I'm sorry, that ain't going to happen. And I'm sorry, Howard Webb has to piss off. We thought Mike Riley was bad. This is taking the absolute biscuit. Absolute biscuit. And it ain't going to get no better until he pisses off, and all these Northern mates piss off as well. And if the FA just go out, bring in what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Bloody the Italian ref that's retired now. I can't remember his name. Kalina. Bring him in as the head of the PGMOL. Get him go out. Bring in the best in Europe or the world. Bring them in. Train up the next generation of officials in England to a level, and just take away that bias, because there's a clear bias. I don't care what anyone says. How is it every referee we have is in the north? And
there's none in the south.
Where does the league top go most of the time? Up north.
But this is the problem, isn't it? Like, I don't want to delve too much into it, but this is the problem we got, that literally 95% of our referees are up north.
Manchester and Liverpool.
This is not good. This is not going to be something that's the concerning thing. This is not going to be something that changes in time, is it? Because the situation will continue to be that balance of referees live up north. I suppose the thing for me is, in the whole scheme of things, is it's quite interesting that they are stripping away with this Howard Webb show. It is quite interesting that they're stripping away with this ref watch as such. And I'll be honest, I don't know about yourselves, but I don't want to hear it, to be honest, because when you've been on the end of situations that happen time after time after time after time after time, you kind of lose hope, don't you? And when you're like a lot of us, that we go to games, we pay a lot of money to go to games. We travel. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? People like, I'm not saying people, I'm saying like, I think like the authorities don't put this into consideration at times, that when people go all the way to a ground, they don't just go to a ground and pay for a ticket. They pay to get to a ground. So people come from up from the north, people like Cole that comes from extreme down south. Do you know what I mean? People are paying a lot of money, and then they wonder why people get the reaction they get. And they talk about respecting the officials, and I'm all for respecting the officials, but I think we need to start respecting the fans as well. I think we need to start respecting the supporters, because we're turning up to these games, we're seeing these decisions, and we're just scratching our heads. And I'll be honest, I've walked out of a ground at least 2-3 times this season, questioning myself, why do I do this?
I will say, also on that too, is how many times have we sat here, not just in the Howard Webb times, at Mark Riley times, when the referees made an absolute nose up in a match day, or a couple of them, there's no retrospective action. Even when they admit that later on in the week, oh yeah, the referee may have messed up here, there's no retrospective action to the referee. They're back again next week. What was it? With Arsenal versus Wolves versus Arsenal, week before we played Man City, the Emirates back in January. Lewis Skelly got that red card, and it all kicked off. And just for the fact of due diligence in terms of a neutral panel that weren't referees, they got turned over because not Taylor, Michael Oliver, who refereed that game, by the way, was set to referee our game the following week.
Yep.
And only because of the backlash it was getting, he got demoted to Southampton versus, I think it was Southampton versus whoever. And I don't know who we got, but basically, it's it's hit and miss when you want to. And even then, that's not even a punishment because he's still working. So, where's the retrospective action towards the ref when they do mess up?
I think that's even worse. The fact that, like you just said, he's still working, but he worked another game. So they're admitting, like, okay, we don't want to put him in the Arsenal game because we know, some things happen. So it's almost like they're admitting they're doing wrong, but it's like, let's put him on another game. We'll still pay his wages, and it's crazy.
And I said at the time so I go back to David Coote, that whole situation arose from the start, and how it going through the emotions, like month and a half or whatever it was. He ain't the only referee in our country, or be around the world, but in our country, on the list of Premier League refs that have that mindset. He is not the only man to have an unconscious bias and have a ruckus with a player or management or fan base and go, I'm going to get you back one day, be it next week or whenever. In his head, I'm going to get you back. He's not the only one. And the fact that it was all going off, it was coming out that because obviously this started just under Mike Riley. Mike Riley was coming to an end, and Howard Webb was coming in. They knew about all these videos, and they decided to keep it hush, but make sure no one sort of cottoned on that Coote had been taken off games because in Liverpool. Look back to the following season, take them away from an Arsenal perspective, when Liverpool played Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the start of the previous season. That whole Luis Diaz goal that got taken off for offside, and they all gave themselves high fives in VAR because they probably got it right when they got it wrong because they got the miscommunication. None of them got punished. None of them got a week suspended, no pay and things like that. It was like, oh well, don't do it again. Sorry, here's a little letter saying we're sorry. We'll learn from it. They don't learn. And notice how they dried up as well. Them little letters because everyone complained because everyone said you're putting it's the same metric. It's a literal generic email you're putting out to the club, and you're not learning. And it's so frustrating when other than England, only Italy have professional referees full time, and they are so bad. And how long it's been? Arsene Wenger and amongst a few others at the time fought for this, and the standards were worse than than what they were when they were semi-pros.
I think like I'm going to come off it a little bit. I do think that VAR has potentially made our refereeing worse, because I think they got this kind of conscious that they can fall back on a decision. But if we're being honest, neither here or there can they make a decision correct, even on the VAR side of things. I just think that the whole situation is an absolute mess at the moment, and it's something that it's going to be interesting going into the new season how that kind of rectifies itself. Do I have hope? Probably not, but at the end of the day, in one sense, I look at it like that. But I always remember when I go back to like 2019, 2020, 2021, I said the only way you're going to beat the system is by scoring a lot of goals. Do you know what I mean? And for me, this is the point now that if we're going to be 1-0 up in games and not kill off a second or third or fourth goal, we're going to be relying on a referee's decision. Do you know what I mean? We're going to be relying on a tight decision. We're going to be relying on this and that, a VAR decision, where actually, if we just go and score 2-3 goals that our dominance deserves in the first half, because we have got the striker, because we have got a world-class left winger, actually, we don't have to rely on these guys. Do you know what I mean? And this is where I think our mindset's got to be now, that we need to go out and buy the right players to, firstly, accommodate the rest of the team, because let's be honest, our defence is absolute world class. But the problem is you're putting so much pressure on that defence when you can't score a second goal. You're putting so much pressure on that defence. And you look at the midfield with Subamendi coming in, we shouldn't have a problem next year. Like, I think he'll bring us a different dimension. He can carry the ball more than what Thomas Partey can. He's a totally different kind of defensive midfielder. I think he'll dictate the game a little bit more kind of mobile than what probably Thomas Partey does. Not saying that Thomas Partey is not a good player, because we know he is, but I just think he'll bring a bit of freshness in there. Hopefully Martin Odegaard as well. Him the pre-season off, we get to see the return of him. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to go back over to the other Ryan now. As I said, like, I look at a lot of these games this year, mate, and we was 1-0 up and we just couldn't put the second goal in. We dropped around 21 points for being in a leading position. If you look at the end of the league table, it's literally wins to draws. That's the difference between us and Liverpool.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of said this in my other show, and I was talking kind of. I mean, it was a little loosey goosey, but you take 5 games out of the Premier League season, and you just have us score 5 goals in those 5 games. You turn those draws into wins, and now we're tied with Liverpool, 5 goals. So I kind of roped it in with kind of like the transfer window, and we kind of talked about Ollie Watkins in January, or just another player other than Mikel Merino stepping up, or Kai Havertz not being hurt. It's huge, and we talked about the red cards and VAR, and these decisions are astronomical. And I think a good point that the other Ryan brought up was they're picking and choosing, and that's where I get angry and upset about this. It's not that they're calling these ticky-tacky fouls against us. Whatever. I'm obviously upset about it, but it's worse when other teams are getting away with it. When I'm seeing Virgil van Dijk elbow Anthony Gordon in the head, and the refs kind of just look the other way. I mean, as much as I want to elbow Anthony Gordon in the head, don't get me wrong. He couldn't have picked a better player, but it's frustrating, and kind of what you said, how the refs see VAR as kind of like a cushion, or like, to me, I see it as just shifting the blame, and not even that, but the refs, I think, don't make calls because they want VAR to make calls, but then on the other end, VAR doesn't overturn calls because they don't want to upset the ref. I've been saying this since VAR got implemented. It's a little boys club, and they're all friends. I'm sure they all get a pint after the game, all that stuff. But that's the problem, is no one wants to step on each other's toes. No one wants to correct another ref and make the ref, in a way, like, embarrass him because he made a poor call. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, I almost think, I don't know if it solves it, but I've always said that I think you need to bring in like a third party, a group of maybe former players. I don't know if former players would want to do that, but someone that's not associated with the refs in the PGMOL, and bring them in to be VAR. Bring them in as a third party. They don't really have any connections or ties, and they make the decision. Like in America, for hockey, they go to like a studio in New York City, and they go and they overturn calls. It's always different people every time. It's not former refs, or it's not current refs, I should say. And it's just, it's been a lot easier. And also, like, on top of that, you have refs, certain sports, refs in America are very vocal with like why they think the call should be changed or should not be changed. But yeah, it sucks, because at the end of the day, you look back and because we have 5 red cards who, in my opinion, I guess 6 if you want to count Lewis Kelly's first red card. But out of all those red cards, like, I'm a little biased, I get that, but I can make an argument on why they shouldn't even be red cards. We were 17th in yellow cards this season. The only teams that had less yellow cards were Liverpool, surprise, surprise, Brentford, actually a surprise, and surprise, Man City. And then we end the season first place with Reds. So it's kind of going back to what I was saying, like, the math isn't mathing. Like, something is just not really working, not jiving with me. And yeah, I mean, it's just, it's tough, because I just feel like it's coming from everywhere. It's injuries, it's red cards, it's VAR decisions. And it's just, yeah, it's a lot. It's every week. I almost feel like we're playing against 12 men. We're 11. The other team always has 12. And it's like you were saying, it's discouraging going to games. It's discouraging watching games. Because yeah, there's days where I have to get up at 7 a.m. to watch these games. And I'm like getting up and half asleep. Sometimes I drank the night before, so I'm not in tip top shape. And yeah, I woke up for this shit. It sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. You're right. It does suck. And that's the thing, like, people like yourself getting up early in the mornings, you know what I mean, to watch these games. I'm going to go to you, Cole, and I'm just going to pick up one game that I actually do think is it was very early on in the season, but I still think it was a defining game in terms of how things just changed in that game. And it's the Man City away game. Obviously, we went 1-0 down with Erling Haaland, but we come back superbly, didn't we? The Calafiori strike, then Gabriel scored. At that point, I felt that, you know what, if we go into the second half, I can see us winning this 3-4-1. Like, nothing in my head was telling me any different. We get the Trossard sending off, and I'm going to be totally honest. If I did think there was a sending off that was a bit of stupidity, I felt that was the one. Especially when it was just a week or so before he's seen what Declan Rice did. We were going into a 47th minute of the first half, and he booted the ball away. Now, I know it was only like a 3/4 of a second, but he still booted the ball away. For me, that was a defining moment, because it put us on the back foot, and we held out unbelievably in that second half. And then they got that goal in the 97th minute. And I just feel if we'd come out of that game with that big win at Man City, I think we'd have been a different animal, personally, going into the next batch of games.
Yeah, I think the Trossard was sending off. I know, obviously, people have said, "Oh, he kicked it just after the whistle," but he wasn't kicking it to anyone. There was no one out. He was kicking the ball away. I think that was a silly one. Trossard cost this year, really. The back pass to Saliba when he got sent off as well. And again, I think, because he's so far away from the goal, there's questions there. But again, I think, Lord, I know Ryan's good at that. Because what he said previously, but it is a sending off. That was a defining game, and I agree. We probably might have even turned them over by 1 home and away. To be honest, we absolutely we dominated them from the first minute. Really, they scored a good goal. To be honest, it was a good finish. And obviously, Calafiori scored a good goal. Gabriel was just very, very dominant at that stage. When end of the season in the air, like stop him. But I think, second half, if we go in, I think we win that game. And actually, it's funny because the end of the game, obviously, after we defended for our lives, like, do you know what? That's a great point. But looking back on it, it was a fucking terrible point.
Yeah.
You know, after what we saw other teams do this year at the end, and obviously at their own as well. But yeah, we got a lot of bad decisions this year. Obviously, other fans will say, yeah, so does every other team. Come on, we can reel them off. With the decision got, obviously the Saliba one there, João Pedro, they clash heads. I've never seen anything like that. I'd never see anything like that again. It was a weird season. I'm quite glad it's over, to be fair. Didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I just think real quick, going back to the Leo thing, where I agree it's a yellow card, but this has been a debate, I think, for seasons for all teams. A second yellow versus a first yellow, because to me that's a yellow card, but a second yellow, and that's also been debated, is refs won't give players second yellows for a nasty tackle. Well, it's a second yellow. You're gonna, I'm not trying to reinvent the light bulb. I'm not trying to be Thomas Edison or Einstein, but like something needs to be done with that, because these refs are changing the games, whether they're giving that second yellow or not giving a second yellow. And then I get it. There is more pressure. With us, but I don't know. I think it's to give a second yellow for that. I think is, I don't know. I don't know, because I've seen players that we've played against constantly foul. Was it Hudson Odoi? I don't remember who it was, but we were playing a team, and I think we were playing Brighton. Maybe it was Caicedo. I don't know. But just constant fouls. And then finally they get a first yellow, and then they're constantly still fouling. And the ref's like, well, I can't give a second yellow for that. I can't. And then you're going to give us a second yellow for kicking the ball away in the most important game of the season. Ryan, it just resonates to me what you said earlier about just refs picking and choosing. And that's just all it is. I feel like it's a guessing game at this point. And whereas I agree it was a yellow, but in that moment, in that environment, is just, I don't know, really rubbed me the wrong way.
Moving into the Liverpool game, that was a killer, wasn't it, John? We went into the game without Saliba because he got the red card, which obviously Cole's just mentioned in the Bournemouth game. And I felt with that first half performance yet again was absolutely superb. I think the frustrating thing for me is that I felt that every time we played Liverpool, they've never outplayed us whatsoever. And I'm talking quite a number of seasons now. And I felt that first half performance yet again was absolutely superb. Obviously, Mourinho got us 2-1 up with his first goal. And we looked comfortable for 60 minutes. Then it all started to go Pete-Tong, didn't it? Gabriel went off injured. We ended up with Kivior and White at centre-back. Skelly come in at the time. And if we're being frankly honest, no one at the time thought that Skelly was going to impact the season like he did. And how our whole structure just changed because of it. I felt that we went a bit negative. I felt that we kind of allowed ourselves to be kind of overrun at times because I felt we was a bit scared in terms of, because we only had Kivior and White at the back, and obviously we conceded by Salah. It was another late goal, wasn't it? But it just felt at that time that everything was going against us. If, like you said, if it wasn't for the red cards, we was picking up that injury right at that wrong time, weren't we?
Yeah, no, we were. And I think Odegaard was out at that time as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this season, we played them. We haven't had our full team out once, and they still couldn't beat us, which just makes it a little bit more annoying than it, to be honest. But it's just whenever those games, it's just fucking annoying, isn't it? To be quite frank, again, what we're going to keep saying, we're lacking the killer edge. If we had that striker, would the game of being out of sight? It's just like grand, So.
Yeah, same old. And then obviously we go into Christmas.
Just like banging your head against the wall.
It very much is so. And then we go into Christmas. Obviously, we had a really kind of rocky Christmas, losing to West Ham. losing to Fulham. And we just, as Andy said in the chat, we was very rigid this season. We weren't our free flowing best. We weren't playing the football that we was used to last season, and we was in a bit of a consistency of maybe winning a game and drawing a game, winning a game, drawing a game. Do you know what I mean? It just didn't feel smooth whatsoever in terms of the way we was playing. And then obviously we come out that Palace win 5-1, which we should be absolutely buzzing about. But we lose our key man, Saka, at that point. And I'm going to go back over to obviously Ryan, down below Ryan. That was a key moment, wasn't it, when Saka got injured in that game? Because actually we'd got Jesus back, he had started scoring, we'd just got into the semi-finals of the League Cup, and then we lose our main man.
Yeah, it was, and but especially when we didn't have when you look at it, a natural replacement for him, because obviously Wanyeo, as far as we were concerned, he only played, it was more effective as the backup to Odegaard in the cam role, number 10 role. We've seen brief moments of him playing the wing, but we didn't know how we could slip in, so it was up in the air. It was more key in terms of it was on top of the window opening for January. So you thought, right, this might, because when you find out how long he's out for, he's got to have surgery, they might have to bring someone in. They might have to send that back, thank God, and get someone there, even if it's alone, get him in just to get us over the line. Or even bring Reece Nelson. I know we've got Reece Nelson in, oh, fantastic. So it was just like, okay. And then the club did nothing. It was just like, I don't know, it was weird. And it showed, if anything, that 4 months of not having Saka, even though Odegaard just come back at the same time as well, check out the equation of what happens to other players afterwards that we lost. It showed how much we need and rely on Saka, how influential Saka actually is to every game. Even if he's having a quiet game to people's standards, he's still there putting performances. He's still pulling something out, because we saw the drop off when he went out that Crystal Palace game. We were 6 or 4 points away from Liverpool. By the time he came back, it was done and dusted, like it was double figures. That's how key he was, and this is one of my main critiques of Arteta as a whole and the club as a whole. When it comes to transfer business, we've said for years, for the last few years, that players like Saka need someone to be behind and to be the backup to rotate. They cannot play every game, because what happens this season is going to happen. It's going to come up and bite something else at some point. It did massively this year, because with Saka, with Odegaard, Havertz, Jesus gets his fault. He goes. Gabriel goes. Saliba went at one point with injuries. It was, if it weren't one thing, it was the other with injuries. Basically, it was always the players. If you look at barring Jesus, who was a bit of a squad player at the time, most of the players we've lost have been players that we've run into the ground basically. And Saka was the main one we all noticed and think, oh fuck. And this is where now, hopefully, this season's been an eye opener. I doubt it. Tom would tell, but be an eye opener to Mikel and the hierarchy that we need proper depth across the board. If Wanyeri's not going to be the backup winger, he's going to be a backup to Odegaard or competition to Odegaard. You go and get the backup for Saka. You go and deal with the left side as well. But you not only deal with it, you then decide who's going to be the backup and sell the other one on. And as a whole, get a backup to Saliba. We've got a backup. We've currently got a backup to Gabriel. We've seen he's stepped up when needed with in terms of Kivior. Go and sort that out in terms of the right hand side of the centre backs. Pick who's going to be your first choice right back, and if the other one doesn't want to stay, piss him off and get a replacement in there. And also goalkeeper, because I'm not big. Everyone knows I'm not Ray's biggest fan, but he's scared some of you to the back end of the season. A few judgment calls he's made, his lack of awareness and position is heightening people's awareness of maybe it's not a huge upgrade, and we may actually need someone even better long term. But it shows when it showed this season when he knew, because obviously Neto's cup tied, which is the most stupid thing in the fucking world. Only Arsenal could do that. That he needs someone behind him to have that pressure on him. Because if you don't have that pressure on him, he has the odd moment where it costs us, either with a goal or play like Lewis Skelly. But was it against Brighton? I think it was, or no, West Ham. We got sent off. And it's, as I say, he needs that awareness. He needs that. Oh, someone's on my tail. They could take my place. I need to be on it, because we know everyone knows how ruthless Mikel can be. And yeah, it's just awareness now. Learn from the mistakes. Learn from this season, not just in terms of squad as depth, but for Mikel to rotate. When it comes to the early rounds of the League Cup, if we're playing like League One, League Two opposition, or lower the Championship, give our first team the night off. Keep a couple on the bench just in case. It's a worst case scenario. But give them the night off. Play your second string with a few youngsters in there. And when it comes to the latter stages, when it's a bit against the higher level of a Premier League opposition or decent Championship side, then you want to start bleeding some of the experience, like some of your first team in. Fair enough. But early on, because that's a massive critic of this season. We're playing Bolton, for crying out loud. We're playing lots of Sterling's, Saka's and Saliba's and Havertz's in a cup game. I think the only person that got a night off in the early stages of the cup was Raya. Because no matter what, we always had someone in our starting 11 either started or on the bench that night.
I'm going to go into a Champions League run in a minute, because it's something I want to kind of bring up within that, which kind of materialises what you're saying there. And it is quite interesting that in certain games, I don't know what he's like that. In certain games, I feel there was options to rest certain players. When you look at the games in January, Zagreb, Girona, did we really need to be playing people like Gabriel in them games? I know Kivior played at the back end of the season, but why couldn't he be given an opportunity away, like at home against Zagreb? Why couldn't we rest Gabriel at that point? I just feel certain times that maybe Mikel has not really had the total confidence and not giving someone the confidence. I felt that he put Kivior in because he had no other option, if I'm being totally honest. But I would have liked to have seen that in our European run in certain games. And he knew what January was about. He knew that we had 11 games in 31 days. But we still consisted to play all our first teamers in the European games. And I guess he wanted to get as high up as possible as he could possibly can. But let's be frankly honest, PSG won the Champions League. They finished 14th. They finished 14th in the league stage, in the group stages. It's pot luck, isn't it? It's pot luck what you get. So I'm going to go to you, Cole. It has been a season of injuries. It has been a season of kind of highs, massive lows, massive disappointments. But do you feel that the reason we haven't won it is all because of the injuries and red cards, or do you think there's a bit more to it? I don't know if you can hear me, Cole.
Yeah, I'm going to join my laptop is rubbish at the moment.
Oh, mate, no worries. I'll let John answer that question.
So I'll jump out and jump back in on my phone, see if that's any better.
Can you ask that question again?
No, I was just saying, do you feel that there was a lot more to it than just injuries and red cards? Do you think if we didn't have these injuries and red cards, do you feel that we could have competed to win the Premier League, or do you think we was always short running from the transfer window onwards?
Yes and no. I mean, we've always said the squad, a bit of quality, and then let all the likes of the Vieiras and your Smith Rowes and Nelsons all go. We were like, well, surely they're a bit short. Surely someone else has got to come in. And obviously it didn't happen. And like in January, for goodness sake, we're crying out for a striker. And when I didn't sign one, you're like, something's going to go wrong, and fucking bang, the next day Havertz is out for the season. It's poor. I mean, if everyone, if it's the biggest word in football, and if everyone had been fit, I think we would, could have done it quite easily. But, you have to look at it like Gabriel Jesus. Scores a hat-trick, comes out of nowhere, scores a couple more goals against Palace in the league. And you're thinking, hang on, fine, isn't he? Here we go. Here's a Gabriel Jesus we're hoping we're going to sign. He's looking at a real handful. And then sod's law, he gets injured and he's out for the rest of the season. And you're telling me if he hadn't stayed fit, he wouldn't have scored, could have been another 5-10 goals possibly. You just don't know. They could have been game winners, Yeah, it's just when you looked at when we lost at West Ham at home 1-0 on a little stage of games. Well, we just had no players because they're either injured, suspended. We just had nothing. And yeah, it was just poor from the club, really. Not signing players in last summer and January. It's just absolutely killed us. And, the players tried. Get the rule, but ultimately they were fucked because they were overpicking off the bench to come on because they didn't buy anybody.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the problem, wasn't it? Like, I actually think like someone like Jesus, he's definitely more of a European player for us. I think, I think definitely in Europe, he's really stood up for us in seasons, and I think that, do you know what? In certain games, I think we could have done with him, especially against Paris Saint-Germain. And it was a big blow. I've got to say though, going over to Cole, one decision we made in the Leicester game was to bring Mikel Merino on up front. Obviously, that was a massive impact, wasn't it? He got the 2 goals, but I've got to be honest with you, right? I thought he was absolutely superb for the remainder of the season, and I to the point where I actually don't see how Havertz would have not done at much more than what he did. If he'd have done that, he was setting up goals, he was scoring big goals, he was winning games for us. I thought he had a really solid effort up front, and I think he gives us another option now if we ever need it.
Yeah, I thought he was unbelievable. I mean, when he said, obviously, Arteta said about throwing him up front, I think we were all in the same boat there, weren't we? I'm thinking, Jesus, is it that bad? Because he hadn't set the world alight at the in midfield. He was, he had his critics. I think he's another player you kind of have to understand what he does as his role rather than kind of what you're looking for him to do. But yeah, obviously the 2 goals against Leicester, great finishes. And then, from that point on, he was a focal point up there and he brought others into play. It was everything you need from a centre forward he offered you. But yeah, and I agree. I don't think Havertz would have offered much more up there, or even contributed goals or assists as much as what Merino did. And that finish against Real Madrid, like that, kind of goes under the radar because of obviously the Rice goals. But that's a proper striker's finish. How he kind of dropped back away from the defenders and then swept it into the bottom corner. That was a great finish. But yeah, no, hats off to him. He was given a job to do, and he stepped up to the plate, and he kept us in games. So yeah, no, fair play to him, and yeah, it does give us another option. Although I am hoping that next year he never has to play there again. But who knows?
If we're there again, if we're talking about this time next year, mate.
I know. Yeah, it will be a disaster. But yeah, like as Brooksy said with our windows. I don't get it. Like, we might not make a Champions League semi-final again for a few years. There's no guarantee that we're going to make it just because we bought a striker. But the opportunity was there this year to actually go and win that trophy. We could have beaten PSG. We probably weren't. Our injuries killed us in the end, and we just didn't strengthen. And the players, Saka weren't fit when he got back. He was half the player that he was at the beginning of the season when he was assisting and scoring, and he was on fire, wasn't he, Saka, at the beginning? He was like leading the chances created for months, even though when he was injured. But yeah, I felt sorry for the players in the end because they just, and Mikel, because he just weren't given no support.
No, definitely, and that was the pace, wasn't it? In terms of obviously the striker pace coming out of January. That I think everyone, even like we'd won the game 5-1 against Man City, and I just felt that it just defined our whole season. That we went and beat them 5-1. It was one of the best games that I think I've been to in the Premier League. Like, we know how dominant Man City have been, and then the very next day is the transfer window. Everyone's high as a kite. Then by 11 o'clock on the Monday, everyone's just like, what the fuck? And then we go to Newcastle, we get thumped there in the Carabao Cup, we lose Havertz, and then that leads us to get obviously the Mikel Merino situation. I think all in all, I think there's been a lot of frustrations this year, isn't there, with the bold? I think there's been a lot of frustrations in terms of Edu's business probably in the back end of the July window and him leaving. And I just think that it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think if most other clubs, if not every club, had gone through what we gone through in a whole season, I don't think any other club in the Premier League finishes second. Well, it's evidence already they don't finish second because we have finished second. Do you know what I mean? With that many issues. And I suppose what it does show us is there is a fighting spirit within the team. And there is that they are fighting for the manager. They are playing for the manager. Do you know what I mean? If they weren't playing for the manager, we wouldn't have finished second. We got to a semi-final of the Champions League. We did progress better than we did last year. We got our big win finally in Europe. We absolutely dismantled Real Madrid. Like, no one does that to the great Real Madrid team. And okay, it's not a great Real Madrid team. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But they are still Real Madrid. They still got Mbappe. They still got Rodrigo. They still got Bellingham. They got Modric. Do you know what I mean? They got Courtois. They've got world-class players across the pitch. And we totally sent them packing. We beat them 5-1 on aggregate. Go and find me a team that's beaten them 5-1 on aggregate over the last probably 15, 20, 25 years. It just doesn't happen. So even though there was some, it was a very frustrating season, what I do take out of it is that we've got the confidence now that we can go into Europe, we can go to Madrid, we can go to places like PSV, do you know what I mean, and win. I thought our first 20 minutes performance at PSG was absolutely superb, by the way. Absolutely superb. If it weren't for, let's be honest, if it weren't for Donnarumma, we're back in that time, mate. We're back in that time. Their backs against the walls. Their backs are against the walls. And that, look, they are a fantastic team. What they've done on Saturday, they 100% deserve to win that Champions League. But we weren't far off it. We weren't far off it with a depleted team. So it is frustrating. It is very frustrating. But the board have got to get it right this summer. I do believe that Berta's the man to take us forward. I do believe that he is a level raiser to what potentially Edu was. And I think we will make the right business. We've got to rate the right business this summer because if we don't, let's be honest, there's a chance Mikel will walk. There's a chance players will walk, and we can't afford that. This summer is a defining summer. It is absolutely a defining summer, and we have to go out. We have to buy that centre forward 100%. We do need an upgrade left wing. We've known that for a couple of years. Martinelli and Trossard are not the players to take us forward in that position. We've virtually got Subamendi in the bag. That's a key piece. Do you know what I mean? And I would like to see another defensive option on top of a goalkeeper as well. I think that there's the onus next year that Mikel Arteta, he has to go one step further. If he's given the squad, he has to he has to probably try go and win the Champions League and Premier League. But I think with the resources that he if he's given it, he can do that. So I'm going to go up to you, Ryan, at the top of the screen, Ryan. Are you confident that the board can do what we need to do this summer?
Yeah. I mean, I guess kind of to go back real quick, I don't think it was just red cards and injuries that derailed our season. I think it's also we were very unlucky. I think for me to dumb it down is I think we were unlucky, and I think Liverpool were extremely lucky. Van Dijk played every game this season. Salah, he's a great player, but he's 32. So he's trying, he's getting older, and he had the best season of his life this season. He played all 38 games for Liverpool.
He won't do next year. Got AFCON.
Yeah, exactly. No AFCON. He didn't get hurt. He was in tip-top shape all season. I mean, I give credit to Liverpool for doing it because I didn't think they were going to last all season. But let's face it, they also luck was on their side this time. I mean, we could talk about ref decisions. We could talk about us getting hurt, but Liverpool got lucky too. So I think it's just a perfect storm. But as far as the board, I am confident with us appointing Berta. Berta is a guy who's known for taking big swings. He signed João Felix to Atletico for a lot of money. Good. He made some good signings, but he's also made bad signings. He signed Thomas Lemar, who was linked with Arsenal for forever. Who a bunch of us thought we were gonna sign him with Wenger, and he ended up. I don't know if it was deadline day. He went to Atletico Madrid. Was it a good signing? No, but he's not afraid to take big swings, and I think for where we are in I guess the project, you would say, we need to kind of make those big swings. We have players like Waneri, Lewis Skelly, the young players, and I love the kid, so I'm gonna go down that road. But a player like Max Dowman, who he may not play important minutes for us next season, but he's someone in the wings waiting, and he's looking for game time. So we have that young stability. We have young players that we can kind of bet in little by little, but we need to take big swings. We need to get either Sesko or Gilchrist. We need to take a big swing at the left wing position. And I agree. I think we do maybe need one defensive reinforcement for depth. If we don't think Sedford or Hine are up to the challenge, then yeah, we could sign a backup goalie. I wasn't really big on Garcia from Espanyol because I think the price is now at like 25 million. I don't need to spend that much money on a backup goalkeeper. But yeah, and the Zubmeni, like you said, it's definitely a key piece. But I trust the board, and I mean you have to, right? Because if they don't do anything this summer, then yeah, I think all hope is lost, all trust is gone. I did hesitate a little bit when you did ask me that question. Do I trust the board? Because something that I brought up on my other show, we talked about the biggest disappointments of this season. My biggest disappointment wasn't a game this season. It was us not signing Ollie Watkins in January. I'm a big Ollie Watkins guy, so I'm a little biased. I'll admit that. I think he could create, he could assist, he could score goals. He's a boyhood Arsenal fan. So I just thought it was the perfect recipe. And Villa came to us with Watkins. We didn't go after him. So I thought maybe we can get a nice price down. Injuries were happening. We were kind of hanging on to the title by a little thread. And we ended up not making, I think we went in with too little of an amount, and they were like, nah, piss off. We're good. But yeah, I think Watkins, I don't want to go as far as to say Watkins would have won us the league, but we're definitely in the Champions League final if we bring Watkins into the fold. So yeah, that not doing that bit of business definitely has put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because I just thought it was the perfect kind of setup, because they came to us and I think we could have got him for a decent deal. Personal terms wouldn't have been a problem. But yeah, no, I think now that Berta's fully involved, and it's not like the transition of Edu to Berta. I'm surrendering myself to the board here, because I do think we're gonna make a few decisions. I mean, because not because we have to. It's not because we have to. We have to. It's it. I trust.
I think as well. Look. It's not get sunk away by obviously Tottenham or Chelsea, the European trophies they won, because for me, the Europa Cup's a totally different Europa Cup now to what it was a few years ago. You used to get the big clubs up on the Champions League drop down into that, which will make it a much tougher competition. We know what the Conference League is about, and really a club like Chelsea shouldn't even be in there from the get-go, especially when you spend over £1 billion in players. It's even though they've won it, and they'll claim that they've won it all, for them even to be in there is not a good thing overall. But this does put a little bit more pressure, don't it, Ryan? However anyone wants to look at it, it might be a good thing that this actually does put a little bit more pressure on the board, that they've just seen, obviously, Chelsea win a cup. They've just seen Tottenham win a cup. Do you know what I mean? Liverpool won a cup now. Man City obviously didn't have a good season, and we don't know really what's going to go on with them next year at the moment. We know they're still buying players, etc., etc. But it must put a little bit more pressure on the board that actually the fan base are very expectant now in terms of what they need to deliver in the summer.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also Newcastle won a trophy as well. And they're a team that's kind of nipping at our heels. I don't know. I might be in the minority here with the chat with you guys. I don't get me wrong. I want to win a trophy. That's on the top of my list. But I'm not sitting here trying to compare my season to these other teams and saying, who had a better season, us or who team we dare not speak of. It's crap. It really is. And I'm also the kind of person, the mentality that I have is I'm focused on my team. I'm not worried about what other teams are doing. I want us to win. I'm not worried about other teams falling by the wayside. Although, yeah, that's nice. That's great that, two teams finished 16th and 17th place in the Premier League. That's awesome. I'd love to hear it. But I'm focused on us. And yeah, they're winning these Mickey Mouse trophies in Europe. I don't even really count them. They're the B leagues, the C leagues, if that. You have teams in Belarus and Lithuania should be winning the Europa Conference League. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, yeah, it's just I almost hate the Europa League and Conference League now because the fact that I think we're such a better club now, and we're a shoo-in for the Champions League now, and I don't want to get caught up in the fourth place is a trophy debate, but yeah, I just look down on those competitions. I don't take them seriously, and for teams that win it, that want to compete with us, they shouldn't take it seriously either.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'd be quite concerned if I was in the Europa Cup or the Conference League now. We've had our years of the Europa Cup, and obviously it shows the progression the club's in. It shows our progression that actually, do you know what I mean? Like, this, be frankly honest, I think if we'd have got to the final against it, I was confident if we got to that final, we'd beat Inter Milan anyway. Like, I see enough in Inter Milan that, let's be honest, it was another refereeing decision or VAR decision that cost us the game. We absolutely dominated that game from start to finish. And I'm going to go to a couple of you on the Euro, because obviously we covered quite a lot already, and I'm just mindful of time. So I'd go down to you first, Ryan, down below. Like, there were some really big performances, weren't there, in Europe this year? The Sporting Lisbon one. I know Anaron had just left, but we went out there and blitzed them 5-1. Obviously Real Madrid as well, mate. The 2-1. We remember that night really well. Unbelievable. And PSV as well. Like, I think that one goes under the radar a little bit. We beat them 7-1. The PSV don't get beaten at home often, mate. So there were some really, really big performances in Europe this year, weren't there?
Yeah, from the get-go, from match day one, we went away to the Europa League champions in Atalanta from the previous season, went away from home, got a 0-0 draw, which, when you look at it, with our away record at the time in Europe, wasn't a bad thing. Especially when you think they got a penalty, the double save. We wasn't our best that night, but we got out of there. We went there and got out of something. And then from that, we sort of built something. We play PSG. This is another thing. We played PSG already this season in the league phase at the Emirates. We won 2-0. Yeah, 2-0, I think it was, yeah. And even then, it was a good performance. But it wasn't like we didn't have to get a second gear because we knew we had a way with a game plan from the get-go to contain and frustrate Enrique's side. And then as you go further and further on, we were just get better in our away record throughout the league phase. And then we finished third on goal difference in the league phase, and then we go on to play PSV. We all thought we'd go through because obviously Arsenal, no matter what's going on, it's PSV, the Dutch league, and this, that, and the other. And at that time, they weren't putting up trees compared to what they did at the end of the season. And the fact that we went to PSV, who historically in recent times have given us a difficult time when it was in the Europa League, we played each other in the Europa League back-to-back seasons, they sort of turned up especially in their home game, and get the result. This time we went, no, and actually flexed our muscle and put PSV in their place, killed the tie off after one leg. And even then, in the second leg, even though the scoreline was, in the second leg itself was closer, we still added more goals to it. We didn't just go, okay, handbrake on. You can win tonight. We feel sorry for you. We kept going, and then in Madrid, everyone and their mums, dads, dogs, cats, birds, writ us off. It's Real Madrid. You ain't got no chance, zero chance. You're going out. Get out of here. Okay, before the game, our tie got underway in the first leg, I gave us a 40% chance of going through, and I got laughed at. 40%, and I'm getting laughed at because it's Real Madrid. And we did what we did in the first leg. Declan Rice to do two screamers, Moreno with his little worldie at the end as well. And then you still had the doubters. oh, but it's Real Madrid, the Bernabeu, whatever they fucking call it, for the Spanish, the translation of the Spanish comeback and all that. It was, okay, you're going to keep going, okay, cool. And even then, we went to Madrid and went, okay, give us your best. So, put your money in your mouth, because Madrid themselves were mouthy as fuck for 7 days. Okay, give us your best. And we still outplayed them. And we
missed the penalty.
second missed the penalty. But even then, we still outplayed them, and we got the win. The fact that we've got a record that no one else really has against Real Madrid. We've had them 4 times in our history. We've won all 4 games. We've only conceded 1 goal. And that was a sloppy from the Saliba and Rayo, respectively. And then PSG was just bad timing for us in terms of if we had a fully fit squad and we had an out striker, we're in a final. And I think if we got to the final, it was Inter Milan on the other side. Arteta and certain players would have wanted revenge for the league phase game. It's one of them things. There's a flip of a coin, and that's the difference between the league, our domestic league, and the Champions League. It was the domestic league were done over by poor officiating and injuries and this, that, and the other throughout the season. Whereas in the Champions League, injuries caught up with us in the end because obviously that timing with PSG, but it was luck in the end. It went against us.
Or was it stupidity? Let's not forget, right, what Thomas Partey did in Real Madrid in the last minute of that game. If he doesn't do what he does,
we haven't for the first leg.
Mikel Merino plays up front. Thomas Partey plays. I believe that result is
that goal. Yeah.
Totally different result.
They don't score that goal in the first 4 minutes because he's there in the way.
Exactly, John. Declan Rice. I'll go over to you on this, John. Declan Rice exactly knew at that point what he had done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And Thomas Partey, an experienced player like that, should have never been sucked in, should he? For that kind of
it's really poor. Yeah, it was really silly. No, I said that the Rice were actually mad at him. Yeah, and you knew obviously with other injuries. And obviously again, that Sodslaw, Jorginho was injured. So if he wasn't injured, he would have played instead of Partey, and he might have again spotted, the run and stopped the goal. But yeah, that was really poor from Partey. That's why I don't give a fuck if he leaves, to be quite frank. To go, I don't care. It's just little things like that just piss you off. Because as you said, if he had played, again, you don't know. But yeah, I think, he's playing well as well. He was in a good run, form, especially in the European games. He has been decent, But yeah, it's just another one of those what could have happened moments.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And just go shoot Cole quickly on it before I move on. Like, we conceded an early goal against Paris. Like, to be fair, I was at the game. The first 20 minutes is the best I've seen the team turn up at the Emirates, if I'm being totally honest. But like again, it was the whole story of the season. Merino scores, goal gets disallowed. And I'll be honest, at that point, I knew he was never coming back in that game.
Yeah. I missed the first goals. I was walking down to the pub to watch it. But yeah, no, from what I saw, I was quite glad, to be fair. From what I saw, obviously, when I got there, PSG were on one, weren't they? They were pressing very well. They're a well kind of managed unit. He's done a great job, Enrique, to be fair, and he's got them all playing under the same kind of hymn sheet. I was really glad that they won it, actually. Mainly because of obviously his daughter. He lost his daughter, didn't he? And that's a terrible, terrible thing. So I was quite glad that they did win it in the end. But yeah, no, just going back to it. Yeah, I mean, we didn't. Like, I know Ryan was saying about Liverpool having the luck this year. Well, you have to have the luck, don't you? You have to have luck to win the league. There's got to be an element of it. And unfortunately, no matter what we did this year, it just wasn't going to fall for us. Whether that would be the league, whether it was the Champions League, FA Cup. I mean, that went to penalties, didn't it? United, I was there for that one. Carabao Cup as well. Things just didn't fall into place for us this year. I think you have to make your own luck as well. And we did throw away a lot of games this year where we couldn't score the goal, and we drew a lot of games. But yeah, I think the season, it just summed up as it's just not going to be our year. So hopefully next year is going to be our year.
I'll tell you the other thing that interests me, Cole. The team that won the Champions League went out in January and brought the big player in.
Well, I was surprised we weren't linked with Kvaratskhelia, because for £60 million, that's an absolute steal. And you could see he was absolutely fantastic, even against us, against Inter. He does not stop running. And plus, I mean, I know Martinelli's got an engine on him, and that's one thing I won't say against Martinelli. He can run all day, but Kvaratskhelia got an end product.
Yeah. And
he makes the right decisions, like Saka does for us. Every time it's the right decision. And we just need that on the other side. And correct, you're not going to get a better player in January than him. And I was very, very surprised. But if he'd have made his mind up that he wanted PSG, then what can you do?
Money talks, Carlos.
It does, mate. It does.
World-class signing. And it won in the Champions League. Fair play to him, to be fair. And fair, like you said, like massive respect to Luis Enrique, like what he's done there, and obviously the story with his daughter and all that. Obviously, I was happy they won it in the end. I'm not so sure about their fans, though. If I'm being totally honest, but actually, we'll carry on. So before we go into the back end, I just want to do a quick one. Like I'm gonna go to each one of you, and I'm gonna start as I said I would, Ryan. Player of the season and goal of the season. Both players are going to be the same name for me. Declan Rice for me, player of the season. I just thought like he just turned up in the big games. He was massive for us. I think he just got better. He had a slowish start, and that was all because of obviously he was definitely carrying an injury. He had played the whole summer and got to the Euro finals. He had no break. And it was a rocky start, but I just thought as the season got on and the back end of the season, he just got better and better. And I just thought he was our best player in the end by a country mile. So he gets my player of the season. Obviously, Skelly's he's a dead cert for young player, isn't he? Like, just an incredible rise. And goal of the season for me, I think it's quite obvious, and I was behind that goal, and I ain't going to say any different, was Declan Rice's second goal. Like, I think I've only seen one free kick like it in my life, and that was Paul Gascoigne's against us live at a game in 1990, and that still fucking hurts me now, by the way. But I
don't even know why he pulled out.
No, but that's the next special free kick that I've seen live, and that was like incredible strike, absolutely incredible. So I'm going to go to you, Ryan, next to me. Who's your player of the season, and what is your goal of the season?
You want me to go now? I volunteered to go last. If everyone
we'll let you go
players.
last. As he's offered, John, we'll go to you next, mate.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, I'll try and be different. I mean, Declan Rice was amazing. I'll throw it out there. Yuri and Timber. I thought he had a very good season. Played anywhere you want to play him, up and down. Considering his injury, never let us down. Been brilliant. Chipped him with a few goals. Good header of the ball. I'll give him a little crack. Goal, I'll go. I mean, Declan Rice's goal was good, but again, I got different. Calafiori's goal against Man City, that was a super strike. And he proved going forward, he's a handful. And hopefully, if he can stay fucking injury free, then next season he could be really, really good.
Good man. There's some really good shouts there. I think Timber. It was good to see a full season out of him, wasn't it, after what happened in the first season? And I think he'll just get better anyway. Down to you, Cole.
So, player of the season, I'm going to go for Gabriel.
Bastard.
Cheers, mate. He's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal this year. Absolute animal in both boxes. Held that defence together. Obviously, and look at the difference he made when Gabriel went out. Saliba was dodgy at the end of this season. I've never seen him like that. So I'm going to give it to Gabriel. And goal of the season, I can't look past Declan Rice's second free kick, to be fair. There has been some honourable mentions. Calafiori, even Wanyeri against Man City as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to give it to Rice just because of the moment as well. Definitely. Elevates it.
Going to go down to you, Ryan.
Right now, I was going to go Gabriel, but now I got different. I'm going to go. Don't have a player I can really think of. Nico Moreno just because. Yeah, he didn't start off well in his position, but when we needed, we had a thin squad, and he needed to come in and put a shift in the position. It's not even his position. I've been saying for 6 months, we've been playing as midfielder, as a striker, for the love of God. And he's scored us clutch goals in that position. He's basically done what Havertz does, but I don't want to say better, but it's still been effective. Absolutely superb. And he didn't take
some good assists as well.
It didn't take anything away from us whatsoever. As I say, he saw plenty of clutch goals for us in that 4.5, 5 month period that he got called upon, and he never complained. I remember that first game when he got put up top against Leicester City at the full-time whistle after he scored a brace. And he's on Discovery TNT in the UK, and he's saying to the person interviewing him, he was only told the day before that he's going to play striker, if that'd be okay. And he said, if I can contribute to the team, I'll play you wherever you want. And he's just cracked on. He hasn't complained. He's got on with it. And he's basically been, from another way, the ultimate pro, really. A proper team player. He's put the team ahead of his own needs and wants, basically, when we needed to. Goal of the season, though, for me, Lewis Skelly against City. Just because
this one
should have went second to last, I guess. Okay, cool.
Pure shithousery in terms of, you look back to the game previous in the season, the 2-2 draw in the end, Erling going, "Who the fuck are you?" and all that monarchy, and telling Arteta and all that to stay humble. And Lewis says, by this point, Lewis got himself in the 11. He's cemented the left back inverted midfield role. He's as his own side. He's come into that game and gone, "This is a game. I'm going to score my first goal, a professional goal. Not only that, I'm going to go over to the far corner and do your celebration, you little prick. Do you know who I am now?" And the fact that celebration rattled not just Man City fans, but Liverpool fans, Man City players, pundits, certain Gary Neville, Jimmy Carragher and all that. How they suddenly don't like the shithousery, but a few months ago they loved it. Absolutely cannot. And it's again for a young kid, 18 years, 18, just not long turned 18, to just go, fuck it, give me the ball, in out, shake it all about, have the shot. Yeah, the goalkeeper should have done better, but it still goes in, and had the audacity to run off to the corner in front of you, Liam, and do that celebration. He can't. No. All the others, obviously, all the other goals have been mentioned, have been brilliant. But for me, just for this, because he's Arsenal as well, because he's coming from our academy, he's one of our own. The fact that he's gone, "Fuck you, you prick," have some of this.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I'll be honest, I was too wildly celebrating to see him doing it at the time. I didn't realise it. I watched it back what he actually done, but yeah, majestic moment for him in a majestic season, if we're being frankly honest. Because as I said, when he come on against Liverpool, you would never expected the rise that we did. Now, Ryan, you put yourself on a pedestal. I have got a goal for you, but I want to see what you go for at the moment. Player of the year and goal of the season.
Just for the rules, I'm not going to pick this Lewis Skelly goal, but like Ryan said, I just want to touch on it because it's definitely my goal of the season. Just because of like Ryan said, the story of Haaland shithousing us and him just giving it right back to him. And you knew it hit home because pundits and media outlets were talking about his celebration, how he went too far and all this. We got City where it hurt. We got the media where it hurt. And I just, the whole story and everything around it, I think just made me happy. And as someone who plays football and I'm a known person who likes to poke fun and shithouse a little bit, it just hit me right in the perfect spot. But yeah, so player of the season, I wrote 5 names down. Luckily, I have 2 left. And I'm going to go with David Raya. To me, he's probably my player of the season, even if I went first. So I'm kind of happy he kind of fell to me. The amount of points he rescued for us, the amount of saves he did for us, and winning the Gold Glove again is just so understated, because I know we've talked about how our defense is world class, which it is. I'm not saying it's not, but the saves Raya has had to make for us is just, I think save the season, he's got like 2 nominees out of all of them, or maybe 3. I don't know. He's made countless double saves. He's just had such a good impact on this team. And it's funny because I was a huge Bernd Leno guy. I still am a big Bernd Leno guy. Being German obviously doesn't hurt. But and when we moved on from him, I was like, I don't know. This Ramsdale guy, I don't know. I don't really trust him. I want my Leno back. And then Ramsdale, breath of fresh air, really brought a lot of culture to the club, really brought a lot of emotion into the game. Really was a player who I supported as just a person on and off the pitch, just the way he carried himself. And then when we went with Raya, I was like, dude, no, I just fell in love with Ramsdale. What are we doing? This is crazy. Ramsdale has done nothing wrong. And then, just seeing Raya, just the way he is, I think he's just been immense for us. I think he's been, in my opinion, our best player. But I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we ought to pick a different player because I believe all of the players you guys chose definitely deserve it as well. So it's it's good to see that maybe we didn't have the best of seasons as for us, but it's good to see that we have like 5 really good player of the seasons. For my goal this season, I don't know. That Luis Skelly goal was so good. I don't know.
Can we chuck one to you?
Yeah, I'm curious what you think.
Bukayo Saka against Nottingham Forest at home.
Oh,
I was there for that. Yeah, so was I.
I was leaning toward. It wasn't the greatest of goals, but I was leaning toward Rice against Man U. I think Man U had that game won, and he scored in like the 70th, 80th minute, and I just think Rice has a knack for scoring against United, and I know this is definitely a hot take, and I know you guys won't maybe understand this. I dislike Man U more than Tottenham. So when we beat Man U, that for me, because I also know way more Man U supporters, and yeah, they're a bunch of assholes. But yeah, no. So if we could just if we could really just stick it to Man U for me, and Rice always ends up doing it. So I'll take that. But dude, I could probably have a whole podcast just based on the Miles Lewis Skelly goal against City. Like that to me, that's just it's brilliant. But yeah,
cool. No, well done there, guys. There's some absolute brilliant discussion nomination. So last bit of the show quickly. I'm gonna because obviously there's no score prediction tonight because there is no game. So my last bit is going to be if you want the 2 main players that you want for this season. So I'm going to go first again, and it doesn't. You just go for your 2 key players now. On this show last year, on the last game of the season, I'm not going to swerve away in terms of what I wanted in terms of Benjamin Sesko. I know everyone's saying that obviously Gyökeres is probably more established at the moment in terms of scoring goals. I do think Sesko has a very big ceiling, and I don't think necessarily we need a complete striker right now. If I'm being honest with you, I think Benjamin Sesko can come in and still do the job to get us where we need to get to. And I'm going to stick by that. So I'm going to go for Sesko. And he scored that wonder goal, by the way. I don't know if anyone see it at the end of the season. Jesus. the kid's definitely got ability. The second one, I'm going to go with Eze. I don't know where he's going to end up, but for me, I just think that what he produced at the back end of the season, I thought was incredible for his club. Don't want to say single-handedly won on the FA Cup because he didn't, but let's be honest, he turned up at the key moments in the quarterfinal, semi-final, final, and the back end of their season. And I just think when you've got games that you've got your low blocks and you can't be breaking teams down, I just think he gives you a different dimension. I think that he can run through the middle. I think he can create stuff, and I think he could be something that we haven't got. Do I see him coming? I'm not so sure we'll go down that road, but he would definitely be someone that I would like. So I'm going to go to you, Ryan, next to me. But who's your 2 players that you'd like?
I mean, it's tough. I wanted to kind of pick 2 different players, but I mean, let's be real. When it comes down to the striker position, I think it's Sesko and Gyökeres. I think Watkins is definitely a bronze medalist in that. I think if we sign him, it's more of a desperation move because we didn't get either Gyökeres or Sesko. But yeah, I'm in the Sesko camp as well. I agree with you. And I think we don't need a striker that's kind of arrived yet. And to be fair, I don't think Gyökeres has necessarily arrived either. He played in the championship and he was all right. And I know people kind of talk about the difference in the Portuguese league to the English league and how different it is. And I really hate using that as an argument, but I mean, it has to be talked about. We don't know what he's going to do in the Premier League. So for me, it's that they're both just unknown quantities. So I'm going to take Sesko. I'm going to take the younger guy, the more athletic guy, the guy that aerially is a monster. And, you know, Arteta said he was interviewed a couple days ago. He said, Kai is starting at number 9, first week of the season. So with that in my mind, give me the younger option in Sesko. We may spend more money to get him here, but I do think we'll probably pay more in wages to Gyökeres and pay more to the agents of Gyökeres. So I think it kind of almost, I don't want to say it's a complete wash. I firmly planted my flag in the Sesko camp after constantly going back and forth for the last couple months. But and my other signing would be Jamie Gittins from Dortmund. I think he's a fantastic player, very underrated player for Dortmund. I think Dortmund is always known for kind of pushing out talent. I think he's one of the less talked about players. I think he's got pace on him, which is something that when talking about us bringing in a left winger, the main attribute that I want in this team is pace. You can't teach it. You just can't. Players are fast. Players are not fast. Jamie Gittins, I think, is definitely a player that really makes strides in this Arsenal team. And also, he's trying to leave Dortmund, which also helps our case. So we could probably get a lesser fee. He's only valued at 50 million. That's transfer market stats, but I think we could probably get him a little cheaper. And for me, I think we talk about the striker position. I think the left wing position is probably going to be the most interesting signing that we make because I think it could make or break us. I think striker, it's Sesko, it's Gyökeres, it's whatever. This left wing position is going to be very interesting to see what we do. But in that respect, also, I think we go for value because at the end of the day, I want us to make more than just 2 signings. I know this experiment we're doing is just 2 signings. We need to make more than 2 signings. And I think we all can agree on that. I want the value. I want he's not expensive as a Rodrigo, but I want the pace. So Jamie Gittins it is for me.
Cool. Could go to you, John. What would be your 2 signings?
Just a striker, just a fucking striker. I don't care which one it is. Just pick one.
Yes.
Get the fuck on with it. Get the fuck on with it. Just get one. You know this. Oh, we want him. Oh, we want him. Oh, we don't know which one. Just fucking pick one and get on with it. Take a big swing, like Ryan says. Just fucking get on with it. I mean, all this fannying around. But yeah, one of them. I don't care who. I'll just be delighted with either of them. Oh fuck it. I'll take on it. I don't care. You know, to say I wouldn't be surprised if we signed 2 strikers. Because I know this talk, Havertz could start as this. We'll hit the fucking roof if he starts with our striker, by the way. That's a different story. But also, if we do sign 2 strikers, he could then play midfield and be competition for Odegaard. I'll throw a random name out there, because I'm not going to lie, all the other wingers I've heard, Nico Williams, I'm just not sure on. Every time I've seen him, he was shit against Man United, so he can't be that great. You know, Leao of AC Milan, every time I've seen him, he's been very hit and miss. So I'll throw out a random name, Morgan Rogers, Aston Villa. When you talk about Eze, I'd be very happy if we took a punt on him. And also, I mean, Ollie Watkins could come as well. If he was coming, he could put him in his car boot and bring him too. So, yeah.
Good shout there, mate.
They're not in the Champions League.
Nah, that's a great shout. That's a great
60, 70 million pounds.
Do you know, before I go to Cold, the Ollie Watkins deal does interest me because I'm just not having a guessing game. I know nothing, but I just don't see us buying Gyökeres and Sesko. Where if we did buy 2 strikers,
no chance.
It makes sense that we bought one, and then if we was to buy a different one, buy that different kind of striker. And Ollie Watkins now, probably what you're going to look for, 25, 30 million maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to. Don't think they're going to get much more than that. He knows the Premier League. He knows how to score. He's an Arsenal fan. I think it's
play Champions League.
Champions
League, they're not in it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're PSR as well, aren't they? They're at risk.
Yeah,
Villa massively at risk.
Yeah, because you need to get Champions League, so yeah, they're screwed.
I agree. I just think if we had the chance to sign Watkins in January, why didn't we jump? I don't think we're gonna. Where I agree, I would love to bring in 2. I don't think we're gonna bring in 2 because of Arteta's comments about Kai starting a 9, which agree or disagree. He made the comment, so I'm just assuming we're not bringing the 2 in. But yeah, Watkins, it just upsets me because I'm a big Watkins guy. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense if we didn't get him in January.
And Cole, your 2?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to bring in 2 strikers. But if we did, I think Watkins would be a great backup if you could get a good price for him. Again, I'm with Brooksy. To be fair, I don't really care who comes in the striker department. Yeah, I would probably aim more towards Sesko. Just because of the ceiling and the age, and I'm still not 100% sure on Gokares anyway. I'm going, you know where I'm going with this, Liam. It's a left winger.
I know where you're going, mate.
You know straight up I'm going left wing.
Exactly where you're going.
Because I think that's where our weak point is. At the end of the day, I'd love Morgan Rogers, but I don't think that's a third signing. We 100% need a winger. Leao is my absolute dream signing.
Yeah.
We ain't getting him. Other than that, I'll take Nico Williams. I know Brooksy, you don't rate him. That's absolutely fair. You don't know much, but no.
We're not seeing him play for Spain.
He's unreal. Yeah, but he hasn't had a good season this year.
No.
But
not many wings have.
No. So I think for 45 million, the value is there for me. The buyout clause. I know you said about Gittins at Dortmund. Yeah, top player, but
I've heard Chelsea sniff around him.
Yeah, if you're looking at 45, 50 million for him, then you might as well go and gamble on Nico Williams, who's a little bit more established and experienced.
Yeah. I knew he was going that left wing position, mate. Yeah, to be honest, if the striker situation weren't so desperate, that would have been your number 1. Yeah. Just gonna before I go to Ryan, just gonna throw it out there. I know Rodrigo name's being mentioned. Would any of you
100%
big marquee signing that would be a big statement, wouldn't it?
I just don't see us going for Sesko and Rodrigo. Otherwise, if Rodrigo was cheaper, he would be my number 1 pick for the left wing. But I just don't see it.
It's just tough. I want pace.
Shawnee keeps getting mixed up.
I want
pace in that wing. I don't think Rodrigo's that fast, and he's going to cost us so much money. I don't know if it's worth it. He's a great player, though. Don't get me wrong.
We've got the money to spend it.
Yeah, that's fair.
200 million on 2 players. I just don't see it.
I can care less. Just spend the fucking money. I'll have to pay fucking shit. Just spend the money. I don't want to hear it.
And finally, Ryan, after John's rant there.
Too bloody right.
I'm going to throw one out there. He's been in the film before, Julian Alvarez from Atletico.
Yeah.
Berta picked it up last year. He won't need time to adapt to the league. He knows how the league is and all that, what's demanded of him. I said even when he was at Man City, I think even at Man City, he's more suited to the Pep style than Haaland is in terms of overall what he gives. And I think he would actually slot perfectly into our system and give us so much output wherever you put him in across that attacking threesome. I'm going to go against you all, though, and say Gorkales for the second one. I just want someone that's, yes, he's younger, he's got the probably potential for higher seeding going forward. But if this was last year, I'd side with Sesko. But we're a year on, we're 3 years deep as a competitive team. We need to win a trophy. We need to win one of the big 2 next season. And I think Gorkres, we saw Gorkres against us, and when we played this one in the season, we see Gorkres against Man City just before we're on left what he can do against top Premier League opposition. Even when we were battering his team, was it 3-1, 4-1, and 5-1 in that game respectively? He never gave up. He kept going at our defence, be it Gabriel or Saliba. I think he's got the physicality. He's got a bit of a mixture to his game in terms of his goals. He contributes to assists as well. What we see in the final, the Portuguese Cup recently. I just think it's a no-brainer. And the fact that, for me, the reason I'm leaning more towards Berta as Gorkales as well is that Berta straight away said, out of everyone, with Sesko in the conversation, this is the man I think will fit our system more and give us more and get us over the line quicker rather than later, and you'll get more thing for your buck basically than the potential. I'm at a point where I want someone that's going to come in, hit the ground running, who's shown in the last 2 years his numbers are going higher and higher. Yes, he was here in England with the Championship, but since he's gone back to Lisbon, he's up to his game and his levels have got better and better and better. Sesko's still raw. We can't afford to be putting everything into next season on raw talent. And yeah, people Arteta saying on next start of the season we're going to have Kai as a number 9, but at some point the money you've got to spend on either Sesko or Gorkales, one of them is going to overtake him in the long run at the full-time number 9. And I'd rather pay that bit less for Gorkales as well than what you're going to pay out towards, again, prospect, the potential.
I think what's tough too is Gyökeres is, if we do sign Gyökeres, he's going to be 27. We're going to need another striker because I think if you sign Gyökeres, we should kind of be a couple steps ahead and then bring in a second person, because then Kai is what 25, 26, and I don't want really him as my backup striker for the next couple of years.
That's what
I want to bring in someone young. I mean, maybe not. I mean, Sesko-ish, maybe cheaper though. And it was funny because I was originally in the Gyökeres camp, and I was like, it'd be nice if we bring in Gyökeres and then the lap would be fucking phenomenal. And then 2 days later, Chelsea signed him, and all goes to shit. Whatever.
This is where I think we're going for. This is where we got. I think with the situation we mentioned with Villa, we go back to Villa and go, now we know you're really, really desperate.
Yeah,
it's our price again for Watkins. And with Watkins, he'll come in as an Arsenal fan, be the squad player. He'll know he'll be the backup, the rotational player. But when he is called upon, because he knows the league as well.
If he's willing to accept it, I would love that. I would not hate that at all.
He would still contribute basically, and it's a different sort of striker to a Gorkres or a Sesko as well. You're having variety. This is what I say when I look back to when I was a kid. Literally, I'm fucking 36 here. When I was a kid, and we had Viltor, Bergkamp, Henry, Kanu, as our 4 strikers. They all had something different to contribute, no matter who we were playing. And that's what we need. If you want to win titles, you need variety in your as your strikers, not just the same type as a first choice, second choice, third choice. Variety is key.
I'm going to finish it. I think the only problem, I don't know how much of a problem it is the Gabriel Jesus situation, is it? I think if he was fully fit, I
forgot about him.
Yeah, it's not. I think that we may have looked. I don't know as it goes. It depends how his season would have panned out, wouldn't it? Because he did come back in. I just think that if there's no way of selling him anyway, I just think that we're going to use him as our second option. If I'm being totally honest, I'm pretty much in the camp where I don't see us buying 2 strikers whatsoever, and I do think that potentially if he can come back and stay fit, then potentially he's probably the other option. But in my eyes, I would like to see Watkins in the club because I just think he's more reliable at finishing. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to get a chance, he's going to score it. With Jesus, you're never so sure, are you? It's one of them, innit? I'm with you, John. Now I don't give a fuck. Just get me someone in.
Yeah, exactly. We're hungry. Come on, feed us.
That's how we're ending it, mate. That's how we're ending it. But get us a striker.
Have a good summer, everyone.
I don't know where I've gone here. Have I gone here? Is that right? I think I'm just coming in outside the chat. There was just some gold membership. Black and gold memberships given. Good to see. Anyway, guys, obviously, thank you very much for coming on tonight to discuss the Arsenal review show in the season. Some great debates, some great topics. So thank you very much. And old John's disappeared. Where's he gone?
He's gone. He's out.
I didn't touch anything. It just disappeared. Oh.
No, that's all right, mate. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to say goodbye without you, mate.
Do I know? Oh.
Cool. But yeah, no, thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate you coming on tonight, and obviously throughout the season as well. Obviously, great commitment once again, and obviously, I do really appreciate the time you give myself and give also the channel. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone that was in obviously the chat tonight and with your contributions. Really, really, really good to see, and obviously, thank you for obviously being here all season as well with us to kind of discuss the good times and the bad times together. And obviously, we're looking forward to next season already. But just to kind of let you guys know as well, we are going to start doing some transfer shows throughout the summer. So just keep an eye out on that. I think we'll kind of reveal that a bit more in the Cannon and Jonesy show on Thursday, but something to look forward to. And on that note, guys, I'm going to wish you all a good summer and see you all next season. Good night.